And now it is time once again for the Corner of Chronic Illness. Today's episode, Type 1 Diabetes. Welcome to the Chronic Disease Corner. Gosh, I need to find a better name for this show. It's really hard for me to imagine anything more horrifying than a corner of chronic disease. Also, was it obvious that I don't know how to use a pipe? Pro tip for preventing chronic disease, don't smoke. There are a few different kinds of diabetes, but the ones you're going to hear about most often are called type 1 and type 2 diabetes. The major difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes and what classifies them is when a person gets the disease and how that happened. Diabetes occurs when a body's pancreas, which I think it's like here. I don't know, it can be confusing. Like, there are all kinds of organs that I think are like right in front, but it turns out they're more in back or appropriately in the middle where things ought to be. The body's a complicated thing. But I digress. Diabetes occurs when the pancreas is not producing an adequate amount of insulin, a hormone used in the processing of blood sugar, which you get by eating carbohydrates, both simple and complex. While type 2 diabetes typically correlates with lifestyle choices that lead to things like obesity, type 1 diabetes does not. Think of type 1 diabetes as winning a really crappy lottery, where instead of getting money you get super sick and need to have a bunch of expensive medical treatments so you don't get sick all the time. Really, not a lot of benefits. I guess you can say that if you have type 1 diabetes, you have the opportunity to develop a specific kind of empathy, but I think most people with type 1 diabetes would settle for sympathy to not have it. I actually think that goes for most people with diseases. While diabetes doesn't have a specific cause, so far as I know, there are very specific symptoms so that you can tell if you have it. These come from the Type 1 Diabetes Guide on WebMD, the source of all truth. I really should be more nice to WebMD. It's a great website, a great resource. Just make sure that you talk with your doctor before you trust the internet on any website for any reason. It doesn't matter how reliable it is. Anyway, short-term symptoms of type 1 diabetes include increased urination due to your kidneys trying to process a lot of excess blood sugar out of your body so it won't hurt you. That in turn leads to a great amount of increased thirst, an unintentional and sometimes dangerous weight loss because your body isn't processing the calories that are being used as blood sugar. As horrifying as this sounds, blurred vision due to a sugar buildup in the eye, and also an increased fatigue, because if you have a chronic disease, you usually have fatigue. But as fun as short-term symptoms are, long-term symptoms are even better. When left untreated, type 1 diabetes can lead to serious blood vessel and nerve damage that can slow digestion, decrease sexual drive, and even hurt your fingers and toes, which may lead to amputation. There's also a substantially increased risk for heart disease, an increased risk for blindness, vision loss, and eye pain, kidney disease, gum disease, and death. You know, because all the other things I just mentioned. But there is some really good news. Diabetes is treatable, both type 1 and type 2. There is a great article put out by the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases. I had to read that to make sure I could say it right. Available on nih.gov about what types of diabetes there are, how to know, and what the treatments are. For those with type 1 or type 2 diabetes, your doctor may prescribe injectable insulin, which would replace that which your pancreas is not producing on its own. Injections aren't the only treatment for diabetes, though. Some doctors may prescribe oral medications that can mitigate the symptoms of diabetes for some, but a lot of it is just about what lifestyle you live. Eating a balanced diet of healthy foods that don't have too much extra sugar in them allow your body to process a lot of it naturally, at least as much as it can. Being physically active also helps with some of the symptoms of diabetes, and also making sure that your blood pressure and that your heart are doing okay is going to do a world of good. Researchers are working every day to try to better understand and treat type 1 diabetes. So remember, there's a ton of options for anyone that has it, and it doesn't have to be something that holds you back. You can do and live whatever kind of life you want. Gosh, I wish I could roll in as good as John Green, but, you know, just not working out. Thank you so much to hon.ch. That's a website. They're dedicated to providing safe and effective medical information to internet users around the world. If you want links to any of the articles that I mentioned in this video, they are in the description. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.